Well, hello everyone. This is lecture 7 for ITSY 4105 Network Security Protocol. And in this lecture, we will see two main protocols for network access control, namely the EAP and the IEEE 802.1x. Okay, what we mean by network access control or abstraction of NAC, it is the term that we refer to manage client or supplicant to access our network. And for this term for this function to be done, it should be authenticate user. A user who should authenticate via an access point or an authentication server in order to grant access to some network resources. Okay, here it will authenticate user login into the network and determine what data they can access. Here we speak about authentication and authorization, and what the possible action they can perform after authentication and authorization. Also, the NIC examine the health of the computer or the client, which is the device used by the user to access the network. Those are the main element of a network access control system. First, we see what we call the client or the access requester, because the client, to enter to a network, he should request the access to the resources. So we call it access requester or ER. AR. It's a node. Look to the formal definition. It's a client. It's a node. A node can be a computer, can be a mobile phone, can be a printer, any IP-based device. The node that is attempted to access the network, it can be any device that should be managed by the NIC system. He give example here: workstation, servers, printers, camera, or any IP enabled device. We also call it a client or a supplicant. Okay. The second component that should exist in a network access control system is what we call a policy server. It determines what access should be granted. He is responsible of granting the access to a given client or a given device. Okay, it works on the background. It's transparent for the user. It often relies on back-end systems. We will see this point. The third component, we call it NAS or Network Access Server. You can see it as an access point from where the client will send his request. Okay, like in Wi-Fi networks, there is an access point. We should contact an access point. The device should contact the access point to grant the access to the network. Okay, this is the formal definition. It functions as an access point, an access control point for user in remote location. So it can be mobile, etc. We call it also a gateway, okay, or remote access server, or also a policy server, okay. And it may include, other than the authentication in policy server, he may include his own authentication service to grant access to the client. This is an example of a network access control system where we find the ER, or we call it client or supplicant, they can be devices from any type and IP enabled, laptop, workstation, mobile devices here. And this is the access point. We call it network access server, okay, NAS. We can find the authentication server, and of course some other server like DHCP or VLAN, because the client to enter to the system to a given network, you should have an IP address, so we need the DHCP server for that. And sometimes we need to assign dynamically these client for a given VLAN, depending on what they want to access to our resources. Okay, so we call this term network access servers. Okay, and behind all of this, we see the policy server. Okay, the policy server, the third component in the NAS system. That is responsible of patch management, antivirus, anti-spyware. We call this space quarantine network. That the user is not permitted to enter this area, but the policy server use this server to fix problem or any existed problem in those devices when they demand access. Of course, the client need to access these resources. These are the main resources that the client want to access. Okay, we call it network resources. Okay, but we need this quarantine network as a back end to fix some problem, to analyze the software of these resources when they demand access. Okay, we fix them. Then, if they are successfully authenticated and authorized to access the network, they can be granted the access, and they will be accounted. لهنا it's a comment about this scheme. A variety of different client, ER here, ER authentication request. A variety of different client seek access to an enterprise network by applying to some type of network access system. The first step is generally to authenticate the authentication requester, the client. Authentication typically involves some sort of secure protocol and the use of cryptographic keys